This is CBC Here and Now.
A beautiful start to the weekend, but how long is this going to last?
The steelwork on the new hospital in Corner Brook is finished, and the Premier marked it in a special ceremony today. But one group is very concerned about the next stage of construction.
Those workers are out-of-province workers, and that's our concern.
With regards to the way that we protect children today, as compared to the way that we protected children 6 months ago, nothing has changed.
And for this human rights advocate, that's the problem. Tonight, the province weighs in on the death of Wally Rich. Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. I'm Jeremy Eaton.
And I'm Anthony Germain. We start tonight with 3 new cases of COVID-19 that have a common link. And this brings us back up to double digits, 12 active cases for the first time since May.
Now, all 3 of those cases are travel related. All men who are residents of the province returning home from working in Alberta. All 3 cases are connected to the outbreak at the Horizon oil sands site in Alberta. 2 of the men are from the Central Health region. One man is in his 60s, the other in his 40s. The third is in the Eastern Health region. He is also in his 40s. The Department of Health says all 3 have been isolating since arriving back in the province. But anyone who was traveling on Air Canada's Flight 690 from Toronto to St. John's on Saturday should call 811 to arrange COVID testing. More reaction from government tonight on our series of stories about Wally Rich. The Innu teen from Natwashish committed suicide while in the province's care earlier this year. Premier Fishery says he wants to fix the system, but the minister responsible says changes may not come soon. Here and Now's Heather Gillis reports.
At an event earlier today, Premier Andrew Furey says he's committed to fixing old problems with the child protection system. As we reported Wednesday, 15-year-old Wally Rich of Natwashish died by suicide in a Labrador group home back in May. Linda Saunders, a fired social worker who held Rich's file, described systemic issues in the lead-up to Rich's death. She says social workers were understaffed and overworked, saying she herself had 40 cases. Furey calls Rich's death devastating.
Look, anytime a child takes their own life, or an adult, or anyone, the social system is broken, and that's part of the role and responsibility of any government, is to ensure that doesn't happen. So this is a systems problem, and we're reevaluating that. I think one of the helpful things will be the Innu inquiry.
The government promised that inquiry 3 years ago, but it still hasn't started. Brian Ward, the minister responsible for child protection, says they've hired 5 social workers in Happy Valley Goose Bay, but beyond that, it's status quo.
With regards to the way that we protect children today, as compared to the way that we protected children 6 months ago, nothing has changed.
Even though his boss calls the system broken, Ward says there's no emergency in the child protection system.
We are comfortable with the good work that our staff are doing.
As for any potential changes, those will come later.
Absolutely, and that will come out in an inquiry. I mean, we will take the recommendations of the inquiry and we will work with that.
Why does this continue to happen?
The executive director of the Human Rights Commission, Carrie Magid, says there are things that can be done now, long before an inquiry begins.
There's been reports and commissions and federal human rights tribunal decisions all dealing with child welfare, protection of Indigenous child welfare. So we know what the recommendations are. The Innu know what needs to be done. We need to listen to them and their leadership.
Meanwhile, Brian Ward says social worker caseloads are where they're supposed to be, with 1 social worker for every 22 cases. He says the investigation into Rich's death is nearly complete, but he can't say when it will be finished. No date for the inquiry has been set. Heather Gillis, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, members of the Innu Nation are remembering a towering figure who passed away this week at the age of 69. Bart Jack was an Innu elder as well as a political leader, and he was instrumental in the founding of the Innu Nation. And throughout his life, he remained at the forefront of many battles with multiple levels of government. Here Now's Garrett Barry has that story.
What is remarkable is that even the white province law agrees in large measures that the Indian view of what is lawful is reasonable.
An advocate decades ago and still an advocate later in life. His contemporaries say Bart Jack Sr. was ahead of his time.
And Bart was one of the first ones to understand that that there was a federal responsibility under the Constitution for Indian people. And remember, this was even before the Constitution was amended with Section 35 to recognize and affirm Aboriginal treaty rights.
He helped found the first Innu political organizations that would become the Innu Nation.
I just remember him as always being the spokesperson, and he was very smart. He was probably among the first Innu that got educated in the white man's world.
His political life took him from fights for recognition to fights over low-level flying to fights about Muskrat Falls.
There's a tank coming, ready to roll us over, but we're going to stand still.
And he often would mention to me and to the leadership, he shouldn't have supported the project, looking at it the way it was done.
He was a sitting member of the Innu Education Board, played a big part in establishing the community schools and teaching those who came behind him.
Every time I have conversations with Bart, he always tells me the history of the Innu, and because he got knowledge, been working with the Innu Nation for so many years.
And just as dedicated to his family too.
His children was into hockey. He was a #1 fan. Every time there was a hockey tournament or even practices, you would always see his wife and Bart at the arenas everywhere.
His death leaves a big absence for those who fought alongside him all those years.
Many people ask me in the community, what am I going to do now? Where do I go from here? And that's a hard question, because where do the Innu Nation want to go from here? That's the question that I have.
On Tuesday, Jack's family shared a final statement from the leader. It read, "I wish there were miracles. I can't have one of them. I will also keep you in my prayers. I will always love you and keep you in my heart. Take rest, be strong, and stay safe." Garrett Berry, CBC News, Sheshatshiu.
Well, to some good news now, and it's about the dwindling caribou herd that straddles Labrador and northern Quebec. The George River herd, which many believed was facing extinction, has actually grown now for the first time in more than 25 years. Here now's Mark Quinn has this update.
The herd was once mind-blowingly large. It's estimated up to 750,000 animals migrated the George River area in the early 1990s. In recent years, with the population dropping as low as 1% of its historic high, just the sight of a few dozen animals was newsworthy. But today, there's a glimmer of hope in the latest George River herd census.
From the census, a rise from roughly 5,500 animals to 8,100 animals. So it's good news because they were on decline so long. We're hoping that this is good news for the recruitment of the George River caribou.
It's not clear what caused the herd's collapse. It's known to boom and bust dramatically in 50-year cycles. But scientists believe development of caribou land and overhunting have played a role in the population's decline. In 2013, with the herd down to about 20,000, Newfoundland and Labrador imposed a total ban on hunting George River caribou. There's been some controversy, and some hunters were charged with taking animals illegally. Caribou are central to Indigenous cultures, but the Nunatsiavut government says this year's increase isn't enough to start hunting again.
No, not at this time. I think that we should abide by the ban. I think that, see where it's to in a couple of years, in 5, 6 years. But if we don't abide and stay fast, then, probably our children and grandchildren will never see what we saw in the past.
Newfoundland and Labrador wildlife officials say the most recent census found that 1/3 of the herd is now calves, the highest calf production in the last decade. But they say maintaining the hunting ban is essential at this fragile point in the caribou's population cycle. Mark Quinn, CBC News, St. John's.
Here's a live look outside the studio. Beautiful evening, but if we take a look at what's happening in the harbor, The fog monster has moved in. It's been a beautiful day for most of us, but yeah, unfortunately that fog has moved in now. Let's take a look at those temperatures as our daytime highs 15 degrees here in St. John's. A number of areas seeing well above normal temperatures, 22 in Corner Brook. That's double what you should be seeing around this time of year. Certainly plenty of sunshine as well. We do have an area of high pressure just offshore now. That's what's leading to these light winds at the moment, and that little bit of onshore flow is why we're seeing those fog patches. Now, as we head through the night tonight and into tomorrow, winds are going to pick up, certainly on the west coast. We're looking at a wreck house wind warning in tomorrow afternoon and into the evening hours. So it will be windy conditions through tomorrow.
We're still here.
Yes, we are. Just away to there we go. So much fog you couldn't even see me for that while there. Now to other news, a controversial Ocean Choice International proposal for Conception Bay South is going to be adjusted. Now the idea was to build a new wharf and cold storage facility in Long Pond Harbour. Now OCI says it plans to adapt. Here now's Adam Walsh has the details.
Well, there aren't any specifics yet. OCI sent out a news release earlier this week, and part of it talked about the regulatory process. So in consultation with Transport Canada, it's got to make some adjustments to its plan to ensure safe navigation in the area. The press release from OCI also said that it's taking into account feedback from people in the area to make some adjustments. Now, there's a statement from OCI President Blaine Sullivan, and it reads in part, quote, "We are committed to investing in a development that will complement the existing commercial activity while balancing the recreational use of the harbor. We know this is important, and it is how the harbor has always operated." There's also a community group that's been pushing for changes to this development. They've got a lot of environmental concerns, so I got in touch with them to see how they feel about this announcement. One person texting me said, well, the devil is in the details. They want to wait a couple weeks to see just what the adjustments are, but they did send a statement, and it's from the Advocates for the Responsible Development of Long Pond, and they say they're still calling for a formal environmental assessment, and they also say they look forward to seeing OCI's revised project plan and having it reflect alternatives that will mitigate navigational concerns and lessen the impact to the natural habitat of the Long Pond estuary. Now remember, all of this still has to receive final approval from the Town Council in Conception Bay South, and that has yet to happen. Adam Walsh, CBC News, St. John's.
The federal government delivered a firm answer today. Ottawa will not purchase an equity stake in the stalled White Rose expansion in order to save the half-finished oil project. Now Terry Roberts with that story.
It doesn't get more unequivocal than this. Will there be an equity stake into the West White Rose project by the federal government?
No.
With the shadow of Muskrat Falls still casting over the land, and a focus by Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's government on green energy projects and lowering greenhouse gas emissions, O'Regan squashed any hope today of a Hibernia-like deal to get West White Rose going again.
I don't think that there's much appetite in this province for taxpayers' dollars going to big projects anymore. In fact, I think there's very little appetite for it. We'll continue to talk about where we can be helpful, but a large equity position I don't think is in the cards.
Husky Energy stopped construction in March because of the pandemic. 60% complete. Last month, the company announced a complete review of all its operations in this province. In response to O'Regan's comments today, Husky released a statement saying, "We remain open to working with governments to find a path forward and will consider all options," and that its review of the White Rose oil field's future is ongoing. Husky has said adding debt to its battered balance sheet to finish West White Rose is not an option and has not ruled out cancelling the project. The company had a $1.4 billion net loss last year. So far this year, its net loss is more than $2 billion. If the project is cancelled, plans to create 250 platform jobs and the promise of billions in government revenue will evaporate. It will also dramatically shorten the life of the White Rose field. O'Regan says the ideal fix to Husky's money problems is a recovery in oil prices.
And if oil was up, I don't know, 60, 70 bucks, this wouldn't be an issue.
Terry Roberts, CBC News, St. John's.
PC leader Ches Crosby has called on Ottawa to become a partner with Husky on the West White Rose project. He says it would be an investment in jobs and prosperity and that the federal government will get its money back. He says today's comments by the Natural Resources Minister could spell disaster for the project.
Anything with the name oil and gas in it, Ottawa has turned its face against. They're not going to help. The money that they've put up already is a smaller amount. It's basically hush money to keep people in the industry quiet, and they've even slowed down the disbursement of it. They don't get the urgency of the situation for workers who've been laid off and fear being laid off.
7 stories of steel really stands out in Corner Brook. Today, more than 100 workers, along with the Premier, marked a long-awaited milestone for the new hospital. With one stage down, some in the construction industry worry about what's to come. Here and Now's Colleen Connors has more from Corner Brook.
It's a special day for many steelworkers who've spent the past several months installing the frame of this epic building. Their work is done. To mark it, they all signed this beam, a ritual steelworkers participate in on most work sites. It will go up in the new hospital, showcasing hundreds of signatures, including the Premier, who signed it first.
Just look at the progress even in the last few weeks, and to feel the energy of the workers and how proud they are of what they have accomplished. I feel very humbled and to be a small part of this today. I think it's a great ceremony. It's very special to be able to display what kind of creativity and ingenuity went into this, and the hard work of everybody involved will now be on display for years to come.
Fishery says construction of the new hospital in Corner Brook should be completed by November 2023, followed by a transition period where staff will have time to move in. While one group celebrated their hard work, another worried about future job opportunities here. Well, this is the next stage of construction, all the framing that's happening here behind me. And one group that were in the parking lot today, well, they say that work should be done by all local construction workers.
And we have workers coming in from out of province, and we want the question answered: why are they deemed essential when we're actually framing a building here, and we have no problem doing that work.
Today, there are 240 people on site, and all but 24 of them are from this province.
You know, over 80% on any job site, I think, is a good first start. Can we do better? Probably, and we're working towards that.
Government says it will review any policies that put Newfoundland and Labrador workers first. The Premier met with this group on his way out today, shared his cell phone number, and said he would be in touch about future work opportunities. Colleen Connors, CBC News, Corner Brook.
A congregation in New West Valley is trying to create an inventory for 150 years of history. St. James Anglican Parish in Pools Cove deconsecrated their historic church last week. Now members are itemizing things inside the building that could be donated or possibly put into storage. A storm heavily damaged the church last year, and the parish just simply didn't have the means to fix it. Reverend John Watton, the bishop for the Anglican Diocese of Central Newfoundland, explains the difficult decision of closing the church.
The mood in the community, as you would imagine, was pretty quiet, pensive for sure. People telling stories and sharing memories with each other. It was a deep day. That's the best way to describe it. If you look at the finances, after we had an estimate done, it was anywhere between $250,000 and $280,000 to try to get the church back in shape. And of course, with a handful of people, like 20, wasn't going to happen. And the thing about it too, it needs to be said, is it's not that these individuals gave up or stopped trying. They worked and worked and worked right till the end. You know, it was a difficult decision for them, obviously. And what people are doing are active in the church these days is saying, you know, the resources we have not better used in different ways. In terms of mission and sustainability, they made the right choice at the right time. At the service, we laughed and we cried. I tried to stay strong because if a leader loses it, then the other people don't have a chance. But we got through it together. And the community of faith known as St. James will continue. It's just that it will take a whole different form. Many of our people there have already started worshiping in the neighboring church in Badger's Key, so they'll be okay. They will be okay. But I do think that it's time for communities and rural Newfoundland in particular start having conversations with churches and parishes so that there may be some hope down the road of saving these buildings.
Well, the fog keeps rolling in and out. You can see it there in the distance. That's generally going to continue tonight and as we head through the day tomorrow as well. I'll have all those details and your full weekend forecast coming up.
She's the last piece of our mother that's left, honestly. She's just irreplaceable.
A search is underway. It's almost as if the entire city of St. John's is trying to help Sydney Learning find Brownie. That's coming up.
This weather forecast is brought to you by Newfoundland and Labrador Tourism. Take the time to explore this fall. Learn more at stayhomeyear.ca.
Welcome back to Here and Now. Ashley's joining us for the weather. Good to
Yeah.
see you, Ashley. How you doing? Long time no see.
It's been a while.
It's been a while. last time
certainly is.
I was in the studio, I was by myself.
Yep.
Good to see you back.
Certainly.
So, Weather looked really nice in Corner Brook when Colleen Connors was on talking about the hospital there.
And it's still a beautiful evening. Let's take a look at the picture there. 21 beautiful degrees. It's just stunning.
Now, Ashley, sorry to interrupt.
Okay.
I just have to point out to all our viewers in Corner Brook that that shot is where the webcam is, which is at the Lookout restaurant at the Quality Inn.
Well,
and that's the view that you get every time you dine there.
Well, certainly getting a beautiful view tonight. Absolutely stunning evening. Winds light as well. We can thank an area of high pressure for that. Temperatures across the board were mild. 18 degrees in Badger still. Temperatures dropped just a little bit for St. John's, down to 10 degrees now, and the temperature won't really move much as we head into the overnight tonight. There's that ridge of high pressure just offshore. We're seeing that clockwise rotation, which is bringing those onshore winds for anywhere really on the northeast. So that's why we're seeing some of that fog move in. Not a whole lot happening up through Labrador either, just some cloud cover, but as we head and some rain, but as we head through the night tonight, that will generally continue. So there's those showers. They'll head up towards northern portions of Labrador as well, with some periods of heavy rain possible as we head into the overnight. Otherwise, we're going to see the fog and cloud cover and potential for some drizzle generally stick around as we see that onshore flow continue. And then along the south as well, through the overnight, you'll see some fog and drizzle move in. And then it might make its way towards central as we head into the early morning hours on Saturday. Temperatures, again, like I said, not moving too much, maybe a degree or two. For the east, the winds will be generally light, 5 to 10 kilometers per hour tonight. Light winds along the west coast as well. You're looking at temperatures dipping in those lower lying areas, hovering near potentially or around the 0 degree mark. Otherwise, single digit temperatures tonight. 10 in Happy Valley Goose Bay, so not moving too much either. 4 degrees in Nain and Cartwright. You're looking at 6 degrees overnight tonight. Generally, not a whole lot of wind to speak of, and that's because of that ridge of high pressure. Into tomorrow afternoon, going to be a little bit more unsettled. Certainly going to see plenty more cloud cover into the afternoon. That potential for some showers along the south coast as well. Again, continuing to see that onshore flow. So some fog patches certainly possible anywhere in those facing the wind. And then we've got the showers again up through portions of Labrador. Even into the overnight, we'll see that risk of some flurries move in, but some heavier rain will move in as well. This will also bring the strong winds for parts of, well, the Rec House area. You're looking at about 120 kilometer per hour gusts into the evening hours tomorrow. So tomorrow afternoon, temperatures not really moving much from today. 14 degrees in St. John's. The winds will ramp up a little bit. You're looking at southeasterlies anywhere from 20 to as much as 30 kilometers per hour. As we head towards central, still a beautiful day, although it will be some showers. The sun will peek out at times more than likely as well. 17 degrees in Gander, 18 Grand Falls, Windsor, Twillingate looking at 16 degrees tomorrow. 21 degrees yet again tomorrow in Corner Brook, it's looking like. But again, those winds will ramp up. So you're looking at southeasterlies 30 to 50 kilometers per hour, and even in some exposed areas, you could see some higher winds. 12 degrees in Port aux Basques with that rain, which will be heavy at times heading into the evening hours. 10 degrees for St. Anthony, and then we've got a beautiful afternoon, it looks like, for southeastern portions of Labrador. 17 degrees and sunshine for Cartwright. Same thing for Happy Valley Goose Bay. Might see a few showers, but overall you're looking at a beautiful day. 5 degrees in Lab City, and then Nain, you're looking at those single-digit temperatures, again with that potential for some showers. So as that low moves further north, we are going to see some showers continuing into at least the first, or at least the potential into the first half of Sunday as a associated trough moves through. In behind that, we should see plenty of clearing, certainly for the west coast. However, it'll probably linger in the east. We might see some afternoon clearing, but overall less unsettled rather than it was on Saturday. And heading into Monday, we're looking at that potential for some showers as well. We are sitting under a ridge of high pressure. However, it will allow a little bit more cloud cover than we would normally see. Here's the temperatures on Sunday, staying well above seasonal again. 15 degrees in St. John's. Similar temperatures as you head across the island. And then we're looking at about 10 degrees in Happy Valley Goose Bay, and then that potential for some flurries in the morning for Labrador. Lab City anyway, 5 degrees, and then you'll see your clearing skies into the afternoon. And then on Monday, 11 degrees, so we're looking at those temperatures staying pretty similar. 15 in Corner Brook, but it is looking like we'll see plenty more sunshine the further west you head. 13 degrees in Happy Valley, Goose Bay. So overall, not a bad couple of days. As we head into next week, it looks like temperatures are going to ramp back up again. 14, 17 degrees, so back into those mid teens with the potential for some showers towards the midweek for St. John's and Eastern Newfoundland. For Central Newfoundland, you're looking at similar. However, temperatures will dip a little bit, and then similar forecast for Lab West Western Newfoundland with the potential for some showers. For Eastern Labrador, 13 degrees by Monday, and then dipping back down to those single digits. So it is looking like look, we're going to see a little bit more cloud cover in play. Look at this shot. Beautiful Humber Valley. I guess we're sticking with the West Coast tonight. Thank you, Ivan, for sharing that with us. If you have any weather photos to share with us, send them to nlphotos@cbc.ca.
Thanks, Ashley. Well, now to an animal story involving somebody that we have profiled before on Here and Now. Now, you may recall Sydney Learning. She was talking to us about the challenges of daily life as a person with one leg. She's no stranger to adversity. Now, Sydney is going around certain St. John's neighborhoods putting up signs to find the family pet, a small dog named Brownie, as you can hear her calling out. Now, she is touched by the outpouring of help that she is getting, and I caught up with Sydney and a woman named Stephanie, who she had never met before today. Sydney, what happened with Brownie?
She actually got out when I was bringing laundry to my friend's car, and she ran off. When I came out to look for her, she was gone. She was nowhere around our home.
How long have you had Brownie?
I've had Brownie since my mom passed in 2016.
Right, so
she was my mother's dog, and we kind of agreed as a family that I would get the dog, and my younger brother actually drove me here from Labrador with the dog in the truck, and she means so much to us all.
Right, so you go way back.
Well, yeah, I mean, we had Pepper when I was 7, and then Pepper had Peaches, and then Peaches is Brownie's mom, so we've always had these little dogs in our lives, and Brownie is just irreplaceable. Like, she's the last piece of our mom that's left, and it's heartbreaking. Like, I just wanted to come home.
Yeah, and you've managed to mobilize.
I'm really grateful. We have a really good group of people out, including Stephanie here right now, volunteering just to come with their time to help me, because I physically need the help. Like, I can't just, it's just too much. Metrobus, Go Bus are made aware to keep an eye on the road. RNC, every major taxi company within the city knows to keep an eye as well. It's spreading around, like the word has spread around, and then we have a personal Facebook group for Brownie.
And this is how you met Stephanie, right? So Stephanie, how did you get involved in this?
Well, it started off as a Facebook share, and I saw that there was a puppy missing, and that is always close to my heart because I have 3 dogs at home. And I shared it, and then I started looking further into it, and I saw that you definitely needed a little bit of extra help out looking for Brownie. So I got my trusty slip leash and
a bunch of stinky treats.
Got some stinky treats, yeah, the stinkiest treats I could find, and we figure she's nearby because there's been a sighting on Pennywell Convenience. There's been a sighting on these back fences here last night, and then a couple Skip the Dishes guys told me that they saw her in the backyard just up here on Diana Place. So she's in this neighborhood between Kenmount Road and Pennywell Convenience, and we believe she's nearby, and if we can get enough kids looking and people with eyes out,
right,
I believe we will find Brownie.
Okay, Sydney, so if someone actually watching finds, what do you want them to do with Brownie?
Contact me right away. My number is 743-8113, and I will come and take her home, or we'll first to the vet to make sure she's okay, and then take her home where she belongs. Right. So we just want anybody that's seen anything, even if they don't think it's her, to just reach out. There's a group on Facebook. Call my cell phone to reach out to anybody that's in the group. Even just.
Has she ever been out on her own like this?
She's known to wander, but not this long. She only goes around our home and just kind of does circles around. And she actually is after walking to Keene College with me, so she's kind of used to that area, and she did try to wander off closer to there, but it's only because she walked it with me, but we already searched that way. And
right. Well, listen, I know everyone loves animals, and obviously you certainly do, so good luck, and let's hope that Brownie comes home.
Thank you. I hope today's the day.
Let's go find her.
Let's go find her.
Welcome back to Here and Now. A company offering a platform for virtual healthcare has seen a change in thoughts around delivering telehealth. Sino had a soft launch last year, but has since seen a quick growth thanks to the COVID-19. The company focuses on fitness, nutrition, and mental health, but the pandemic has seen those services start to expand. I spoke with their CEO about what 2020 has been like for them.
We sell our product directly to companies in what we call an employee wellness plan. Essentially what we do is we provide the opportunity for healthcare providers to list their virtual services on our platform, and then we go to companies and we give their employees and the access to be able to get to these providers really easily in a simple way. The demand for telehealth services has increased dramatically. The more companies that we talk to and that we bring on board onto our platform, their biggest concern is mental health. People feeling isolated, people feeling that they don't have access to the normal social networks that they would normally get access to in real life. What we're really realizing is that it's more than just therapy. That's one big piece. Talking to a counselor and working through your issues is a big piece. But we actually coined the term holistic mental health. And what we mean by that is if you're going to be mentally well, you need to be physically well. So that means you need to be eating right, you need to be exercising. If you're in physical pain, it's really difficult for you to be in a mentally well position. So that's the reason why our service offering, we think all of it is mental health, to be honest with you, even though it might be the various aspects of wellness. The pandemic has caused both providers and users to open their mind as to what virtual can do. I had a conversation with providers before the pandemic and I was like, nah, time out. We can't do this virtually. And now all of a sudden, fast forward 5 months later, everybody's doing it. So necessity is the mother of all innovation, right? We have companies like Blue Drop, we have Wedgwood Insurance, Seafair, Capital, Granville Biomedical, and a few others. It's still early days. We're hearing great feedback from them, employees saying that they're availing of services they never would have because it's so easy. When you're at home on your tablet, you're like, you know what, it'd be really cool. I've been having some issues with my gut health. I'd love to talk to a naturopath and figure out what's going on. Should I change my diet? You probably wouldn't travel all the way to the person's office, make an appointment, but you might click the button twice and then all of a sudden you got an appointment made. So we're just, again, removing those barriers to employees becoming healthy.
Yoga practice for yourself, so you're going to see yourself strengthen.
We're going to expand into the leisure and lifestyle sector, things like music lessons, language instruction, art, painting. Because we really believe leisure and lifestyle in that work-life balance piece as people are being stuck at home is a very important piece. I think more than anything, it's opened people's minds to virtual. I think there's always been a barrier to, is it as good? Can you get as good quality? But now because people have to use virtual on a daily basis, I think their perspective on what virtual is and the quality of virtual has completely been altered. And I don't think it's going to go back to the way it was.
A community garden in Conception Bay South is growing, and not just vegetables either. It's expanding from Kelligrews into a whole other part of town. Our colleagues at the St. John's Morning Show visited the Manuals Interpretation Centre to check it out.
A big part of our vision as a committee was to expand to other parts of CBS. So with the support of the Rotary Club Avalon Northeast and the amazing team at Manuals River, and of course our volunteers, we were able to establish a secondary location. Well, we learned so much over in our Gateway Garden, so we were able to apply a lot of what we learned. We were able to grow a huge variety of lettuces, tomatoes, squash, pumpkins, beans, peas, tons of herbs, and also really put an emphasis on planting a lot of local berry bushes and trees. This year was unique because so many of our volunteers and the kids that got involved were talking about now gardening in their own backyards, and I think that that's a unique element of some of the silver lining of COVID. Everyone is moving what they've learned from this garden into their own spaces, so that's really encouraging.
We have sort of brought some of our regular programs back and just tweaked them a little bit for COVID-19 regulations. So we have our Young Scientist program on the go again, and that's where kids between ages 5 and 8 come with their families and their caregivers, and they do crafts and demos and games, and we learn about different science topics. So we've got that just changed a little bit, so each family bubble kind of participates on their own. We're doing our Halloween hike out on the trails, but this year we're calling it the Halloween Hunt, and we're doing that just a little bit differently as well, so we can try and make sure that everyone's sort of, again, traveling in their bubbles and staying distant and that type of thing, but trying to bring back some of our old programs that people have always known and loved. We are open again and excited to see people.
we take you to the isolated southwest coast in the very first of this fall's archival specials. It's our season debut, Sunday at noon and Monday at 7.
Welcome back to Here and Now. In Nova Scotia, Mi'kmaq are selling lobsters in front of the provincial legislature. It's the latest move in an ongoing and growing dispute over a self-regulated Indigenous fishery in the province. The Mi'kmaq say Canadians have a right to buy the catch they bring in, even though they don't have commercial fishing licenses. The Indigenous lobster fishery was launched last month, and tensions escalated dramatically this week. Commercial fishermen in Nova Scotia raided 2 facilities where Mi'kmaq store their catch. Now, the Prime Minister has addressed the ongoing conflict over the fishery in Nova Scotia, in particular the recent violence. He says the federal government supports Indigenous rights, and he expects the police will take whatever action is needed to keep the peace.
We are expecting the RCMP and police services to do their jobs and keep people safe. I think there's been some concern that hasn't been done well enough, and that's certainly something we will be looking at very closely. But we recognize the rights of Indigenous communities to moderate livelihood fishing, and we will ensure that we're moving forward in a way that recognizes these rights that have long existed and need now to be put into place.
But with COVID-19 infection rates climbing in many countries, scientists, doctors, and policymakers are all struggling to try to contain the outbreaks. And they're discussing several approaches, including one that is very controversial, and that is herd immunity. CBC's Christine Birak has more.
Do you support herd immunity as a strategy?
Publicly, he won't say it.
The cure cannot be worse.
But the U.S. president openly embraces scientists pushing herd immunity plans, including some Canadian doctors.
The Great Barrington Declaration proposes that we allow people who are young and healthy and very unlikely to die of COVID-19 to return to life as normal.
That declaration, posted by an American economic think tank, promotes focused protection of the vulnerable until we reach herd immunity. A new memo released by a group of international researchers counters. It's dangerous, unsupported by scientific evidence, and doesn't work.
Everywhere in the world where this approach has been used, cases have inevitably spread from populations that are conventionally considered low risk into the broader, more vulnerable portion of society, leading to thousands of deaths.
Herd immunity is when a majority of people have developed the right antibodies to fight an infectious invader, which only happens with a vaccine that helps the immune system recognize the invader or uncontrolled infection.
Allowing a dangerous virus that we don't fully understand to run free is simply unethical. It's not an option.
But many argue neither are prolonged lockdowns.
The answer with everything in life is usually somewhere in the middle.
Experts insist short lockdowns are a last resort to stop the virus from overwhelming hospitals. Countries like South Korea are avoiding shutdowns by staying ahead of this virus.
Which really is about widespread testing, widespread contact tracing, putting people into quarantine and isolation.
Experts say early lockdowns bought governments time to act, but talk of herd immunity and new lockdowns reveal they've failed to move quickly or in the right direction. Christine Birak, CBC News, Toronto.
There was a horrific and deadly attack on a school teacher in France today. Police have opened a terror investigation in a gruesome killing. Reports say the man was decapitated on a street in a town just northwest of Paris. The police shot and killed a suspect. Police sources say the history teacher had shown his pupils caricatures of the Prophet Muhammad during a classroom discussion earlier this month, and some Muslims consider such cartoons to be blasphemous. It's time to celebrate birthdays and anniversaries. Congratulations to Ronald and Patsy Chalk in Gander on their 50th wedding anniversary tomorrow. Happy 56th anniversary to Mamie and Gilbert Oakley of Chamberlain's. They'll celebrate on Monday. And best wishes to Doug and Eileen Rossiter, who celebrated their 60th anniversary on October 12th. And happy 52nd anniversary to Clarence and Gay Rumbold of Mary's Harbor, now in Corner Brook. And a happy 60th anniversary to Bill and Eileen Rowell in Placentia.
Mike and Marg Woodford are celebrating 64 years of marital bliss today. Happy anniversary to Alma and Charlie Anderson of Burgeo, who celebrated 61 years of marriage on October 14th. Happy 54th anniversary to Ingrid and Robert Lucas of St. John's. That was on October the 15th. Claude and Louise Jones of Jackson's Arm are celebrating their 63rd wedding anniversary today. Happy anniversary to Herc and Rose Phillips of St. John's, who are celebrating 64 years of marriage.
And happy anniversary to Eleanor and Curtis Bungay in Burgeo, who celebrated 63 years on Wednesday. Angus and Uriel Kiley in Gaskiers, St. Mary's Bay, will celebrate their 50th tomorrow. And a happy 55th anniversary to Yvonne and Nelson Hilliard in St. John's Within. Harold and Pearl Short in Glovertown celebrated 54 years together yesterday. Happy 56th anniversary for Gordon and Nettie Peckford in Gander.
A happy 57th wedding anniversary to Lloyd and Georgina Fudge of Burgeo, who got hitched on October the 16th. Harvey and Bernice Drover celebrated 54 years of marriage on October the 15th. Happy anniversary to Shirley and Don Boone in Bishops Falls, celebrating 64 years of wedded bliss earlier this month. Happy anniversary to Betty Lou and Walter Bursey of Lewisport, who will be celebrating their 60th wedding anniversary on October the 20th. Happy 50th wedding anniversary to Linda and Tom Boland of Calvert, who celebrate tomorrow.
64th anniversary greetings to Jim and Gladys Fitzgerald in Corner Brook, who will celebrate on Monday. And Wallace and Annie Bussey in Foxtrap celebrate their 50th on Tuesday. Happy 57th wedding anniversary to Wallace and Doris Moore of Carmenville. Happy 50th anniversary wishes out to Jim and Doris Abbott in Bonavista. Max and Madge Morgan are celebrating their 55th wedding anniversary in Mobile. Alex and Elaine Bennett's 50th wedding anniversary is today. And happy 54th anniversary greetings to Linda and Dermot Malloy from Trepassey.
Now switching from anniversaries to birthday greetings are going out to Ada Colburn from Robert's Arm, who turns 95 years old today. Also turning 95 is Olive McGinn from Bellburns, but currently living in Corner Brook. A happy 99th birthday to Evelyn Lehman from Burnt Islands, now residing in Port Basque. Happy birthday to Cyril Pinsent of Clarenville, who turned 90 on October the 14th. Happy 93rd birthday to Headley March from Lady Cove, Random Island. That's tomorrow. Happy birthday to Mary T. Lewis of Colliers, who celebrated her 92nd birthday on Sunday.
Happy birthday wishes to Janie Lang from Carbonear, who turns 92 on Tuesday. And on Sunday, Mary Pope in Port Basque will celebrate her 90th birthday. Happy birthday to Eva Walsh in St. John's, who turns 91 tomorrow. And happy birthday to Blanche Cooper. She is 99 today, and Blanche lives in Gander.
Wishing a very happy 97th birthday to Leonard Pye of Lethbridge. Happy 94th birthday to Esther Arnold of Traytown, now living in Glovertown. Happy 95th birthday to Fred Taylor from Calagroose. A happy birthday to Mary Elliott from Mainbrook, who turned 96 on October the 10th. And a happy 90th birthday to Clarence Horton. And that's it for birthdays and anniversaries.
Yeah, congratulations, everybody. Well, a final story tonight. A hike in the Alberta Badlands brought about some excitement over the summer, a discovery when a 12-year-old came across some very rare bones, which could help paleontologists fill in some gaps in the prehistoric record. And now dem bones are being packed up and sent away. CBC's Terry Trembath has more.
Watching workers move the skeleton preserved in plaster and burlap, weighing more than 450 kilograms, Nathan Rushkin remembers his reaction to when he first saw it during an annual trek in July.
I was so excited that I didn't even feel that excited. I was just in so much shock.
Nathan and his dad took pictures and sent them to the Royal Tyrrell Museum. Francois Terrien, a paleontologist there, says the bones belonged to a young hadrosaur, commonly known as a duck-billed dinosaur. Even more interesting is a discovery like this in Horseshoe Canyon is not as common.
it represents a gap about 69 million years ago when we don't know what type of dinosaurs lived around here. So now the discovery that Nathan made is of great significance because it fills those gaps.
Tarian says it could take up to 2 years to assemble the pieces. For Nathan, who wants to be a paleontologist one day, this experience has him excited to come back next year to look for more. Terry Trembath, CBC News, Horseshoe Canyon.
How amazing is that?
I know.
That's pretty impressive. I'll tell you one thing. I didn't find anything like that when I was 12.
Isn't that
Found a lot of trouble.
One of the Indiana Jones movies starts out with a young Indiana, I think, on a dig, and he wants to be a paleontologist.
That's
wow.
incredible.
Well, he's definitely going to have a better resume than most of the people who wrote
Best
the
show and tell of 2020, right there.
Yes, absolutely.
Great weekend coming up. Thank you very much, Ms. Brawweiler. Looking forward to it.
It should be pretty nice. Absolutely. Temperature's quite warm.
And hopefully we'll all get out there and enjoy it. I know that, Jeremy, what are you doing this weekend?
Oh, I'm working, living large.
The whole weekend?
yeah, I'll be outside as best I can. You know,
Uh-huh.
hoping to get out and see a few pumpkins and enjoy the fall.
Okay,
foliage.
well, no
It's a
doubt.
good idea, actually. Maybe we should carve some pumpkins this weekend.
Ashley and I'll be thinking about you as you're.
I'm sure you will. I'm sure you will be thinking about it.
It's good to work with you again. It's been a while.
It has. It hasn't been a while since there's been 3 people. Well, I've been in here anyway.
Yeah,
So.
it's good to see you again.
And if I'm lucky, maybe I'll be back next week. Fingers crossed.
See you on Monday.
Good
Take
night.
care.
Have a good weekend.